Welcome back to Pirate Studios. Today I'm going to show you the most important thing I ever learned about recording. Hit it. Alright, so what we got going is I'm going to let you hear a little bit of a mix of this. I mixed my bands. I'm in a band called Faithhead, and I'm going to press record on my streaming, so when I start showing you my DAW, you'll be able to actually see it. Okay, so I'm in a band called Faithhead. We're a Christian metal band, and I mixed and mastered the album, and P, the bass player, had it sent off, and this is the first CD that I've ever actually been on that was actual copy, actually made physical copy. Been on demos, plenty of demos, but anyway, so I spent tons of time on the album. We all did, listening to mixes, and up until the very end, I wasn't happy with it. Wasn't completely happy with it. And there was a few key things. There was a couple key things that happened that really changed the course of how it sounded. And one thing was the drums. The first thing was the drums. I had people saying the drums sound raw, and it upset me. It bothered me, and because I thought it was something else, which is really a different. This is really a different video. I thought people were expecting to hear drum samples, but that's not what it was. And then the second thing that I heard was my singer. He was listening to a mix, and he said, "There's something about my vocals. They don't sound like they're fitting in the mix right." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "They sound raw or something." And I was like, "Huh." So after that, that's really where it got my wheels turning, and made me realize that I had to do something else. So I watched more like rewatched a course by Stephen Slate on and you can watch it. It's a rock song. He mixes a rock song from beginning to end, and you can download if you join the all access pass, you get to download the multi-tracks for it for whatever DAW you use, and they have one for Reaper, so I downloaded it and I still have it, and I can mix it on my own. I have done that. Anyway, it's a great song. Something that I noticed that he did, and I never thought it made any sense until this time. I've learned this a long time ago, but I really didn't think it added up. But this really does add up. So what am I talking about? Well, let's go over here to the DAW. So what I'm talking about, and it's not just one thing, it's multiple things. But the first very thing I'm going to tell you is this. And I don't mean this particular plugin. I just mean tape. Tape is really important. Because why? Well, because without adding tape, you're not getting an analog sound. And without an analog sound, it will never sound as good as it should. And then also, all these layers matter in the grand scheme of things. And I'm going to show you this little example. I'm going to show you an example, and you're going to see that it doesn't do a whole lot all by itself, but the layers matter. That is the most important thing that I ever figured out. Layers matter. So we're just going to do this overhead first, and I'm going to let you hear the before and after. So this is Kramer tape. I use this on almost every track. Let's listen to the overheads. So now let's turn it off. I'm going to just bump it off and you can hear that just a little bit of difference. So to me, and it's something, it's, you know, everybody's going to tell you, you know, use your ears. What that means is just keep mixing. And then your ears, you will start to understand what sounds good to you. That's what that means. So what I hear is it's saturating just a little bit. And that you get that when you increase the input. That's what this is, the input. It says record level, but it's input. And then playback level is output. I'm not messing with the output really. I turn delay time down. I turn the wow flutter down. I don't touch the low pass. Feedback, I don't touch that. I don't want noise. I leave that the way it is. I leave that the way it is. I don't do anything. This is default. I just I turn the delay down, turn the wow flutter down, and I just increase the input. It comes linked like that, but I increase the input just a little bit. Now, I'm going to show you a free alternative that you can get for free, and you don't have to buy waves. This is by Toucan Studios, and this is the same thing. So I'll turn it on. I'll let you hear it without it, and then I'll turn it on. So that is absolutely free. And what is that sound? It's that plugin. It's funny. So what you may also that you need to listen to is that it takes away harsh freak. That's the thing about the analog sound. What is the analog sound? Well, the analog sound is the difference between an analog sound and a digital sound is that analog isn't harsh. Now, if you listen to that, let's turn it on. Okay. I'm going to turn that up because I don't want to hear that. So if you leave it off, you can listen to the cymbals. It's a good example of this. And if you had it really loud, which you may or may not have it loud, hopefully you're not watching this on a phone. You need to be listening to this with headphones or a stereo. But when you have it off, it's a little harsh. And then when you turn it on, that harshness goes away. And it's probably because of the saturation, the little bit of saturation. See, I've got drive turned up right there and denoise, and then I turn the volume up. Tape, I didn't mess with that. That's not on. That's just to give you the noise from a tape machine, but we don't want that. We're just using it like that. So that's, there's videos on how to install these, and I'll leave a link in the description on how you can get a hold of these Toucan presets. I think that they will work in any DAW. Think, but I could be wrong. But yeah, so there's that. So that's a great start. It's just barely moving the needle. You just want to turn the input up just a little to get it just to take away that digital crap. Yeah, I'm gonna get my mic closer too here. So the other thing that's important is that's a part of this most important thing that I learned about recording is that you need to treat every piece, every instrument, at least for the drums. And these are real drums, by the way, and I'm gonna here's what they sound like. Just the drums. Those are real. There's nothing replaced. There is nothing replaced with a sample. Now, you might say, some people might say, well, samples are real drums. Yeah, that's true. They are. But they're not unique to you or your band. They were used on other records. Why? Who cares? Well, it sounds great. Well, that's a whole nother discussion. Do you want to sound like another band, or do you want to sound original? Are you playing cover tunes, or are you playing original music? If I'm doing a cover tune, I want to sound like that band. But that's me personally. But if I'm making my own music, I want it to have its own unique sound. And these are unique drums. So the other thing I was going to say is what's important is layers. All the layers matter. So on the drum bus, I've just got a clipper, and that's just to keep it from going redlining for peaking. Now, see how I've got tape on everything? There's the layer. That's the take. Now, and you don't really have to do this tape. You don't have to do this tape thing if you are recording your drum mics into analog gear first, because that analog gear is doing what the tape plug-in is going to do. It's already doing it. I'll give you another example. I'm going to open another project. I'm going to, and I should have already had this ready to go, but I didn't, because I didn't think of this till now. So I apologize. But if you go into analog gear from the beginning, it really makes a difference and gives all that warmth. And that's what the guy in Nashville that me and my old band did. He ran the microphones into compressors, and you can hear it from the raw stems. So here's drums. Let's see. Let's just listen to the overheads. There is nothing on the overheads. I didn't do anything to them because it's already done with analog gear. Hear how warm that sounds? And it doesn't sound harsh at all. And he probably EQ'd on the way in too. But that's with analog too. He did it on it. He has a big desk, and so he may have EQ'd. He may also have analog. He may also have an EQ that I don't think so. I didn't see that. I think he just had it on his Soundcraft board. He EQ'd that way. But he did have analog compressors. He had a couple of distressors, and he had some other stuff. I've seen pictures. I was recorded there, but I didn't know anything about recording back then, so I didn't even notice. But yeah, that's raw overheads. That's a left and a right going to a bus, and that's it. There's nothing on it. Now, if you wanted to, you could put an EQ on it and get rid of the bass. But here's the drums totally. And all I did, I added some reverb. I added a little bit of 8K to the snare, and I added some more body to the snare, 200, because that's just what I wanted to do. That's what I thought it needed. I added a reverb. I put a clipper. And then the room, let's listen to this room. This is analog. Let me turn this reverb off. This is the room mic, and you can hear it, how compressed it is, the way he compressed it on the way in. It's a left and a right room going into a bus. Hear the cymbals? They're being compressed when my drummer hits the cymbals. So, and you can hear the guitars in the background and recording. Then when you add this reverb, listen what happens. Turned it into a giant room. Actually, it turned it into Sunset Sound Studios in LA. And then I put this plugin is free for a limited time. I just got this for Black Friday, and this is the default. Find Classics plugins. It's a reverb plugin, and this is the default. And here's the toms. Of course, the tom microphones are picking up all the drums because I don't gate my stuff anymore. I used to. So let's listen to the drums and listen how damn good they sound with just reverb. Now, the toms, I did put EQ on the toms because they sounded kind of bad without them. Like, let's listen to this tom right here. This is floor tom, the big tom. Sounds kind of boxy. And then you turn the EQ on. I increased 8K, and I turned, this is another video really on itself, but 2.50 is where you want it anyway. The kilohertz is 0.5, so 0.50, turn that all the way down. That's the magic tom frequency. Turn it, I don't mean turn it all the way down. Turn it down until you get it where it sounds good to you. Let's put it back on 0. Let's turn this on. It's okay. Let's turn it all the way down. See how much better that sounds? It doesn't sound as boxy. And then you turn up 8K. All right, now let's hear what that sounds like as a whole drum set. And then you add the bass guitar with that. Just that beginning part. Listen how good this sounds. Woo! But yeah, that's what you get when you go in with analog gear. But if you don't have analog gear, like most of you probably don't, because it's expensive as crap, is you have an interface. You have an audio interface, and you have your computer. And you're probably just running microphones from your drums into your interface, into your DAW. So you need to compensate and try to cover up that digital sound for it to all glue together. Now, the last thing I'm going to say is what I said about layers. The next thing, in this case of not having analog gear, that's mostly what this video is about. So is recording without any analog gear, drums more specifically. So let's go back to the overheads. The first thing I'm doing is I'm running it. I'm pretending, except I'm not pretending. I'm pretending I'm running the overhead mics into a preamp and then into a channel strip. So that's the layers. These plugins are made to recreate the real units, the real analog gear. So you should use them that way, like they are real. That's it. That's the one. And then in the bigger picture of everything layered together and everything on top of everything, in the end, you have one giant awesome picture of the drums. So this isn't exactly a how-to, but so the Kramer tape was first, is to get rid of that digital sound from my microphones into my interface. And then I took that sound and I ran it into a preamp. These EQs are doing nothing. EQs are not working. I'm literally using it for the preamp. You might say, well, you have preamps on your interface. That's true. But if you don't have the best quality preamps, I just leave, which I didn't. I used Midas preamps on some of them, and then some of them are the Focusrite preamps. We used a Focusrite as the main unit. But I keep those volumes all the way down. I don't use those. I try not to use the preamp distortion or anything, because the more you turn up preamps, the more saturation it brings. So I just keep the volumes down when I record drums. That way I don't have to worry about anything peaking. And then I use this Shep 73, which is a Neve 73. I just barely turned it up right there to represent the real preamp. And then I acted like I went into a channel strip. So analog tape, preamp, and then into a channel strip, an SSL G channel strip. There's not a whole lot going on the overheads because it doesn't need a whole lot. You're really just, I didn't do anything to the EQ. As you can see, all these are 0. I filtered out low end because I don't want low end in my overheads. And then I'm using a compressor. And then I turned on the analog because we want to add any kind of analog sound. You should always turn it on unless you like the digital harshness, but that's just an opinion. So this is, it's not on fast attack. It's not on fast. It's on fast release, but not a fast attack. It's a slow attack. The ratio, I have a video on how all this works. The ratio is kind of in the middle. And then the threshold is there. So you can see it redlining. That means it's saturating the cymbals. That's what you want. The more you saturate the cymbals, the less harsh they will be on your ears. So if you layer everything just like this, you know, and I didn't have to use a 73 preamp. I could have just used this preamp here. It has an input. It has a preamp right here. But I chose to use a 73 because I was kind of copying Michael Beinhorn, who recorded Super Unknown, Soundgarden Super Unknown, and he had some Neves. They weren't 73s, but he had Neve preamps, a whole bunch that he wound up selling not too long ago. But he recorded that record, microphones into those preamps, and then he used the SSL G channel to do all the mixing and stuff. So that's why I did that. It was he inspired me to use that, so that was the chain that I used. You don't have to use that, but like I said, that's just what I used. So when you add all these layers together, you have a drum sound like this. Yeah, so I hope you like this video. Yeah, hopefully you learned something. It's an important thing to know. That's like the most important thing to know, especially if you're not using analog gear on the way in. Please like this video, thumbs up this video. Please subscribe to this channel, and when you do subscribe, please hit the notification bell and set it to all so you don't miss any of my videos. Also, please join my Discord. It's absolutely free, and you can talk to me. Right, phone to phone, we can talk to each other. Let's do it. And don't forget, almost every night I try to go live around 6:30 Eastern time. I love you all, and see you next time.